Akira is a lonely virgin who has no interest in women until he tastes the spit of an emo baddie. From then on, his life completely changes as he becomes obsessed with her and instantly tries to rizz her up in hopes of exchanging more naughty fluids with her. It all begins when a mysterious emo girl named Mikoto transfers into Akira's class. The teacher tells her to sit next to Akira, who warmly welcomes and tells her to seek him out if she runs into any problem. Later, during lunch break, Akira finds Mikoto fast asleep until a couple of girls arrive asking her to eat lunch with them. However, she quickly tells them off, revealing she's in the middle of a naughty dream. With that, she goes back to napping, leaving Akira speechless. Once the class starts again, everyone is bored to death until Mikoto suddenly bursts into laughter. As everyone looks at her weirdly, she lightly reveals that she personally found something funny and just couldn't contain her laughter. From that day on, Mikoto is labeled as the weirdo and everyone avoids her like she has cooties. One day after school, Akira sees that everyone has left, but Mikoto is still sleeping in class. He approaches her to wake her up, and Mikoto lifts her head up with drool covering her table and face. This shocks Akira as he finally sees her eyes that are usually covered with hair and tells her to clean her face before going home. Once Mikoto leaves, Akira's attention drifts to the spit soup she left behind as he goes for a taste. Upon feeling the taste of the drool, Akira can't help but think that it's better than Sydney Sweeney's bathwater until he realizes how messed up this is and runs off. Later, during sports class, Akira suddenly collapses from a bad fever, and Mikoto mysteriously watches him while the boys carry him to the infirmary. The next day, the teacher reveals to everyone that Akira's fever is getting serious and he may not return to school anytime soon. That evening, Akira lazes around in his room when his sister tells him that someone has come to see him. He assumes it must be his friend and asks him to come up, but he is shocked when he sees Mikoto. She starts by asking him how he's doing, and when he nervously reveals that he's just under the weather, Mikoto bluntly states that what he has isn't a common cold. As he looks at her in confusion, Mikoto asks him if he swallowed her drool, which leaves him speechless. She then scoops out some of her spit with her finger and shoves it down Akira's mouth. Akira ends up getting lost in the sauce until Mikoto asks him how he feels. At that moment, he realizes his fever has gone down, which prompts Mikoto to reveal that he was going through a withdrawal after tasting her spectacular juice. And the reason why he's feeling fine is because he got a taste of it again. With that said, Mikoto turns to leave when he stops her and asks if her saliva had something in it that made him addicted. Mikoto bursts out laughing and tells Akira to stop watching conspiracy theories. Jumping on his bed, Mikoto turns all serious and tells Akira that he doesn't have a common cold, it's just that the moment he saw her eyes, he fell in love with her and is now lovesick. With that, Mikoto tells Akira that she's going home while he sits in his room, dumbfounded. The next day after school, Mikoto announces that they are walking home together. As they walk together in silence, Mikoto suddenly stops and tells Akira to lick her spit. When Akira hesitates, Mikoto reveals that if he doesn't do it, he'll go through the withdrawal again. So without further questions, Akira takes Mikoto's finger in his mouth, realizing that she was waiting for him all this time just so he wouldn't get sick again. As Mikoto turns to leave, she tells him that she'll be waiting for him after school tomorrow, which makes Akira smile. From that day on, this became their little routine, and before he knew it, Akira realized he was madly in love with Mikoto. So the next time they meet, he confesses his feelings, but Mikoto simply tells him to prove them through actions. Upon hearing this, Akira tries to kiss her, but Mikoto stops him, stating that he should express his love with originality. Now confused, Akira whines that he doesn't know how to do that, prompting Mikoto to assure him that she will wait for him no matter what. Touched by her words, Akira suddenly takes a picture of a girl from his wallet and reveals to Mikoto that he had been madly in love with her until now. After declaring that, he tears the picture apart and announces that he's Mikoto's man from now on. Suddenly, Mikoto vomits out a pool of saliva, informing Akira that when she's happy, her saliva starts overflowing. She then asks Akira if he is still a virgin, and once he says yes, Mikoto reveals the day she burst out laughing was because she heard a strange voice in her head, saying she will lose her V card to him. The next day at school, the boys rate which girl has the best Nyash in school, but all Akira can think about is his new girlfriend and her mouth juices. Later on, he asks his homie Ueno what he should do if he hypothetically gets a girlfriend. In response, Ueno says that he should ease into the relationship by holding hands. So after school, Akira tries to hold hands with Mikoto, who rejects him bluntly, stating there is no need for them to do corny things. With that, she walks ahead, making Akira realize why men need to have on the side. The next day at school, he tries to get advice from his virgin friend again regarding how he should woo a girl. Ueno looks at him quizzically, stating that this doesn't look like a hypothetical situation after all, which makes Akira nervous, so he tries to turn the question on Ueno, asking him if he's getting some. Ueno casually states that masters don't play the field, they teach the game, and with that, he tells Akira that before holding hands, he should establish communication since girls dig that. So as usual, after class, Akira swallows Mikoto's throat smoothie, but then asks her what her hobbies are. She tells him that it's scissors, confusing Akira until she tells him to hold a piece of cloth. As he does as told, Mikoto unleashes a pair of scissors from her undies and goes ham on the cloth. Once she is satisfied with her handiwork, she reveals to Akira that, since his name means camellia flowers, she transformed the cloth into one. Flabbergasted by the entire thing, Akira tweaks out and asks Mikoto why she even carries scissors in her peach protectors, causing her to reveal that she's emo like that. Taken aback by her explanation, Akira then asks her if it was right for her to flash her undies to a man, but Mikoto assures him that it's fine as long as it's him. Once she leaves, Akira can't help but stare at her Nyash bouncing away, feeling accomplished for establishing communication with his shawty. Later that night, Akira thinks about Mikoto's white peach protectors so much so that he ends up having a naughty dream where she shows up wearing nothing but her love shorts. After waking up to a crazy morning wood, Akira heads to school, where he asks Ueno what comes before communication and holding hands. Now sure that this Gunner definitely has a girl, Ueno tells Akira that before those steps comes the greeting. Later in class, Akira can't help but mull over what Ueno said and recalls his first encounter with Mikoto, where he told her to come to him if she has a question. His thoughts then drift to her peach protectors again, which somehow makes him wonder if Mikoto has that gorilla grip. Later that day, Mikoto flashes a candy and asks him if he would like some. When he turns it down, Mikoto gobbles it up and tells Akira that they will be parting ways earlier than usual today. Despite his visible confusion, Mikoto just tells him that she will wait for him tomorrow in their usual spot. As Akira watches Mikoto go, he can't help but wonder if he did something to offend her since she didn't feed him her mouth gravy this time. All of a sudden, Mikoto returns. Taking out the candy from her mouth, she pops it in Akira's mouth and asks him if it's sweet. This gives Akira some major blue balls, causing him to grab Mikoto, who in response takes out her scissors and once again goes crazy with them. Once she is done proving why she should be lobotomized, she warns Akira to never grab her without asking. After she leaves, Akira is all pissy about Mikoto's behavior since his fragile ego can't take no for an answer. This also leads him to think that they can't behave more like couples with how Mikoto is like. The following day, Ueno hands Akira a couple of movie tickets, which gives him the idea of taking Mikoto out on a movie date. After school, Akira puts his plan in motion and asks Mikoto if she would like to go out with him on the weekend. To his dismay, she tells him that she already has plans and then proceeds to feed him her mouth goop. But this time, Akira shows her that he's not happy and asks if he's really her man. Once Mikoto confirms that he is, Akira states that they haven't done anything that couples normally do. However, Mikoto tells him otherwise, reminding him that they have their unique bond, and then flexes her spit-covered finger. She then tells Akira that this is their bond, and with that, she asks him to follow her so she can prove to him they are in a relationship. Somewhere deep inside the forest, Mikoto leads Akira to a rundown building where she makes him sit on a chair. Once he does as told, she asks him to promise her one thing, that he will keep his eyes shut unless she tells him to open them. Now scared for his life, Akira gulps down in fear, but promises to keep his eyes shut. Once his eyes are closed, Mikoto tells him that the drool she is about to whip out is what they're feeding to angels in heaven, so he better buckle up. With that, she feeds Akira her spit syrup when suddenly, his heart starts to pound faster in his chest. Seeing him in this state, Mikoto tells Akira that he's going wild because she was going wild while feeding him the spit. With a tornado hitting his pants, Akira starts to bleed from his nose as he asks Mikoto why she was feeling freaky. Instead of telling him that she's standing with her tatas out, Mikoto states that they are connected through drool. After getting dressed, she tells Akira to open his eyes. Once they head out, Akira can't help but ask Mikoto what she would have done if he had broken his promise and opened his eyes. So she takes out his scissors and goes crazy, making him realize what would have happened if he had done her dirty. As they part ways, Akira can't help but sigh in relief that he didn't mess up and open his eyes. Later that night, Akira has yet another dream about Mikoto, but this time he uncovers her chamber of secrets. The next day, Mikoto finds Akira blushing and smiling to himself, so she asks him what's running through his mind. Since he can't tell her that she was tickling his pickle in his dream, Akira just tells Mikoto that it's a secret. Upon hearing that, she forces a finger in his mouth and then proceeds to taste his mouth cavity. Suddenly, her nose starts to bleed and she tells Akira that he is free to imagine her however he wants to. But that said, she wouldn't be wearing that fugly hat. Akira's eyes widen as he asks Makoto if she knows what happened in the dream, but she shyly replies that it's a secret. After school, Akira feels upset that he couldn't hang out with Makoto. When he enters the class, he is shocked to find his Rizless friend, Ueno, locking lips with a petite baddie. Suddenly, Ueno realizes he's being watched by Akira in the doorway. He rushes toward him and asks if he saw him, and Akira admits that he saw everything and asks him if he is dating Oka. Ueno confesses that they have been dating since the first year and begs Akira to keep his relationship a secret. The next day, Akira cannot help but think about how nobody knows about Ueno smashing Oka in the classroom until he realizes that it's not like anyone knows about him and Makoto. His attention then drifts toward Makoto's lips, which makes him think that kissing must feel great. After school, he walks home with Makoto, who suddenly stops and tells him that she wants to chill in the park. Akira agrees, and once they settle down, Makoto reveals that she wants to do homework together. As they get started, Akira mentions how he walked in on Ueno and Oka smooching, but when Makoto doesn't give him a genuine response, he becomes dejected. Suddenly, Makoto asks him if he wants to kiss her. Startled, Akira tweaks out until he admits that he wants to explore her bubblegum pink lips. Upon hearing this, Makoto begins to dig through her bag and unveils a test tube which she tells Akira to hold. Suddenly, Makoto strikes a JoJo pose and then transforms into a hurricane. Once she is done, she blushes and asks Akira to hand her the test tube. With the tube in her hand, Makoto begins to pour her mouth juices inside it and tells Akira to drink it when he goes to sleep. That night, Akira announces he is going to bed early. His sister smiles, knowing she'll find the sheet sticky with Akira's yogurt in the morning. Meanwhile, in his room, Akira unscrews the vial and licks Makoto's drool and can't help but wonder why her tongue tonic tastes so sweet. As he falls asleep, Akira sees a dream where Makoto and him are sharing candy through their mouths. After the act, he asks Makoto in embarrassment if this counts as their first kiss. When she confirms it, he angrily tells her that their first kiss needs to have sincere feelings. The following day at school, Akira finds Makoto dozing off. Seeing the table covered in her drool, he can't but wish to be reincarnated as a table in his next life. After classes, the two walk home together when Akira brings up the dream he had last night. Instead of replying to him, Makoto tells her to follow her in the park. After finding a secluded spot, Makoto asks him if he would like to kiss. Akira coughs and tells her that they should wait until they are able to properly understand their feelings. A smile forms on Makoto's lips as she tells Akira that she feels the same. Seeing her full face, he can't help but wonder why a cute girl like Makoto acts like a loon. However, Akira ultimately regrets saying no to a makeout session as he wonders how he is supposed to understand a woman's feelings. The next day at school, as he glances at Makoto, he finds her doing a cool trick with her pencil. Wanting to understand her, he tries to mimic her, but ends up making a fool out of himself. After class, as Akira mulls over everything, he catches his classmate, Ogata, eyeing his girl, before he can tell him that only he has the right to watch Makoto like a thirsty creep. Ueno grabs him and starts talking about some dumb cat while Ogata follows Makoto out of the class. Approaching her, he grabs the dustbin from her hand, revealing that he'll help her out. Upon hearing this, Makoto turns to leave when Ogata stops her and tells her not to go back. Now walking together, Ogata admits that he has been wanting to talk to her for a long time. With that, he asks her if she would like to go out with him. Later on, as the couple walk home together, Akira can't help but feel weird about Ogata, so he tries to talk about it when Makoto tells him to eat her goop. Once he obeys, she reveals to him how Ogata proposed to her today, stating that he has always heard that weird girls give the best hawk tua since they don't have a family head. When she remains quiet, Ogata urges her to give it a try since dating isn't a big deal, and they can just start by going home together. After hearing the whole story, Akira asks Makoto what she told Ogata in response. She replies that she told him to wait till tomorrow, which prompts Akira to state that he will personally go up to Ogata and tell him that they are already dating. However, Makoto bluntly stops him and tells Akira not to meddle in her business. With that, she walks away, leaving Akira upset. That night, Akira tells his sister that he is off to bed, which once again makes her think that Akira would be choking his monkey all night long. Meanwhile, in his room, Akira becomes annoyed as he reflects on the whole situation. He thinks that since Ogata is always pimping them, Makoto will likely go for him. The next morning, Akira returns to school, exhausted from all the worries. During the break, Ogata asks Makoto to give him a reply, but instead, Makoto tells him to close his eyes. Ogata reluctantly closes his eyes while Makoto shoots a finger slathered in her saliva into his mouth. Startled by her behavior, Ogata instantly asks why she is behaving like his uncle. Ignoring his comment, Makoto asks him how he feels. When Ogata reveals that he feels traumatized, but other than that he is fine, Makoto tells him that even if he's the only man alive, she still won't ride his pony. Later that day, Akira finally asks what went down between her and Ogata. Makoto bluntly tells him that she told Ogata she doesn't like him. Sighing in relief, he opens his mouth for his daily spit slurpee when his nose starts bleeding. As Akira tries to stop the bleeding, Makoto then hands him a face mask, admitting she was supposed to wear it, but went commando instead. As Akira stares at her in disbelief, Makoto explains she turned Ogata down because he doesn't understand her like he does, and now she finally feels like he's her boyfriend. On that note, the two happily walk home together. The next day, during lunch break, Akira finds Ueno smiling to himself. He curiously asks him what's so funny, so Ueno eagerly reveals that since summer's starting, he'll get to see his girl in shorts that make her cheeks look like they were handcrafted in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory. Sighing, Akira tells Ueno that he sure is a simple-minded fool to be so happy at a silly thing like that. In response, Ueno fires back that since he doesn't have a girlfriend, he doesn't understand. On that note, Akira looks at Makoto sleeping next to him and fantasizes about seeing her nyashed in short shorts. All of a sudden, Oka approaches Makoto and asks her to eat lunch with her. The whole class looks at them as Makoto turns down Oka, stating that she is skinny maxing so she won't be eating lunch with her. With that, she tells her not to wake her up in the future. However, instead of being offended, Oka just asks Makoto if she minds her sitting next to her and eating her lunch. Makoto tells her to go ahead and goes straight to a place where Eren and Mikasa get married. As Oka starts eating her lunch, Makoto suddenly wakes up and says that her lunch smells good. In return, Oka reveals that she has a knack for cooking and then offers Makoto a bite. The boys look in shock as Makoto lets Oka feed her lunch. Later that day, Akira asks her if something happened between Oka and her. When Makoto asks what he means, he reminds her of how she was getting fed by Oka. Makoto informs him that Oka randomly told her that they should have lunch together, and that was it. Hearing this, Akira admits that it made him happy seeing her get approached by other girls in their class. However, Makoto flatly tells him that she doesn't need friends since she has him. This makes Akira stupidly happy while Makoto offers him her goo so his mouth can be baptized. That night, Akira dreams of Makoto feeding him food. Just when his dream is about to make him goon without doing the effort, he wakes up. The next morning, Ueno excitedly waits to see his girlfriend in the sports uniform, but the boys later learn that they have judo indoors, while the girls will have a separate sports class outside. Makoto participates in a relay race where she ends up tumbling down on her face, with her knee bruised up. The teacher urges her to go to the infirmary when Oka arrives, revealing that she is on the health committee and will take Makoto to the infirmary. As the girls arrive in the nurse's office, they find it completely empty, so Oka tells Makoto that she will tend to her. Once she is done patching her up, Oka casually takes a drink out of the refrigerator and gulps it down. This makes Makoto curious, so she asks her if it's okay to take things from the infirmary. Oka reminds her that she is on the health committee and uses the refrigerator to store her own drinks. With that said, she offers Makoto the drink, which she accepts. As the girls share a moment together, Oka admits that she wants to be her friend since she's very interesting. However, Makoto tells her that they can't be friends since she is a lone wolf. Acknowledging her whole Enom act, Oka tells Makoto that if she ever changes her mind, then she will always be ready to swap friendship bracelets for her. As Oka turns to leave, Makoto suddenly calls her out in shock, pointing at her bleeding knee. Confused, Oka wonders why she has the same wound as Makoto, when Makoto suddenly stands up and slices her own hand. Then, without a word, she beckons Oka closer and tells her to put her spit-covered finger in her mouth. Oka hesitates before quietly accepting her fate. Once the ritual is done, Makoto tells Oka to look at her hand, which is now bleeding, just like hers. On that note, Makoto explains that since she swallowed some of her drool, they are now deeply connected. While Oka is completely confused, Makoto takes her bruised hand in hers and apologizes for hurting her twice. Oka tries to find light in the situation and tells Makoto that this is probably a sign that they need to be friends. But Makoto refuses, stating that she is not the only one who is connected to her through spit. Closing the distance between them, Oka asks if she is talking about Akira, surprising Makoto. She then reveals that she caught them yesterday when she was walking home. With that, she admits that that was the moment when she became fascinated by her and just wanted to befriend her. Now excited, Oka asks Makoto if Akira's body reacts the same way as hers after swallowing her spit. After confirming it, Makoto reveals that her physical and emotional state gets transferred to Akira, which allows them to communicate without using words. While Oka is completely intrigued by her, Makoto turns to leave, announcing that she can find her interesting, but she doesn't need any more friends. With that, she tells her to treat her wound carefully. Later that day, as Makoto feeds Akira her mouth fuel, he suddenly begins to wince in pain, which makes Makoto instantly apologize to him. The next morning, Ueno tells Akira that he is going to ask Oka to have lunch with him. Confused, Akira reminds him that they're secretly dating, so he can't ask her that, but Ueno claims that he will telepathically communicate since they have established a connection by bumping uglies. As lunch break rolls in, Ueno looks at Oka like he eats crayons for breakfast. Suddenly, Makoto gets up and Oka soon follows after her. In the hallway, she tells Makoto to lick her spit so she can understand why she wanted to befriend her. After she does that, Makoto freaks out, stating that this is some gourmet stuff right here. In response, Oka reveals that she was imagining kissing Ueno right before she asked her to swallow her spit. Suddenly, she asks Makoto if she hasn't yet kissed Akira. Makoto remains quiet, prompting Oka to back off as she then unveils a bento and reveals that she made too much food. Before Makoto can reply, her stomach roars, causing her to admit that before her, she was the boss of skipping food, but now her body automatically craves her food. In reply, Oka happily states that they should have food together from now on, and even if they fail to become friends, she still wishes to get along with him. In the meantime, Ueno rants to Akira that he wants to eat lunch with his 4 feet tall baddie with a fatty when the boys suddenly find Makoto and Oka eating lunch together. As Akira watches Makoto from afar, he cannot help but think that his girlfriend is as mysterious as ever. The next day, the boys have a football class where the coach tries to find a Japanese Ronaldo, but realizes all his boys are bad eggs. As Ueno goes to fetch the ball, he ends up discovering a hidden spot which allows him to peek at the girls in their swimsuits. Meanwhile, Oka secretly cheers for Makoto, realizing that she would trade her ugly boyfriend just to have a lick of Urabe's armpits, while Ueno thirsts over Oka and her hot body. After getting enough gooning material for the next 4 years, Ueno returns revealing to the boys that Oka definitely has big naturals. Once it's Akira's turn, the lads tell him to go check out Makoto, so he does his best to botch his attempt at throwing the football when suddenly, he sees Makoto. Akira's heart starts beating, and in the end, he ends up tripping over the ball, missing out the chance of Ai smashing his own girl. Later that day, Makoto deep throats a popsicle, which prompts Akira to ask her if that was her last swing class. Makoto reveals that they'll have a couple more after summer break. The two arrive in a park where Akira starts sniffing Makoto, realizing her sweat is tantalizing his family jewels. Suddenly, he catches her looking at him with a cold look, and before he knows it, she's ready to attack him when it suddenly begins to pour. Since both of them don't have umbrellas, they decide to take shelter under a tree. Akira waits for the rain to stop when suddenly, Makoto clings on to him, making him realize that rain can make a good wingman. He then asks her if she is wearing any perfume today, but Makoto reveals that she just got to clean her stank kitty in the swimming pool. Then tasting her body, she tells Akira that her sweat tastes like the sea. Now curious, he asked Makoto if she likes going to the seaside. She confirms, revealing that she goes to the beach every year since she loves to swim. With that, she beckons him to give her arm a lick so he can taste the sea on her body. Akira quickly jumps to lick her arm, hoping one day he'll make it down south when he imagines her wearing a bikini. So he asks her if she would like to go to the beach with him during summer break. After a pause, Makoto smiles and tells Akira that she would love to. Once the summer break begins, Akira and Makoto continue to meet up so he can have his portion of Makoto's drool. During one of those days, Akira tries to ask Makoto out on a date, but once she is done feeding him spit, she'd just ride off into the sun, leaving his 3 inches hard as a rock. One day, he finally decides to take his balls out of his purse and tells Makoto that they should consider going to the beach now since they're on holidays. In reply, Makoto reveals that she is going to stay with her father, which bums him out until she announces that they can plan their trip next week. Once she leaves, Akira celebrates like he managed to survive the Black Death, and when he returns home, his sister instantly points out that he looks rather happy. That night, Akira has a dream where he was running with Makoto, her bouncers bouncing in the wind while the sun shone on them. Suddenly, she transforms into a mermaid and gives him a preview of her milk factory. Finally, the long-awaited day arrives and Akira races towards the station where he finds Makoto standing. When she turns to greet him, Akira finds her completely tanned and wonders if she can use the N-word pass. Meanwhile, Makoto informs him that since her dad lives near the beach, she got sunburned. The two quickly board the train and Akira cannot help but stare at her new skin in excitement. They finally arrive at the beach, where Makoto leaves to change clothes, while Akira realizes that he is in heaven after seeing so many huzzs. Finally, his own girl arrives and Akira is hooked on her from the second he lays eyes on her. Makoto breaks the silence and asks him if he wants to eat something. Before he can tell her that he wants to eat her cake, she takes him to a store where they have noodles. After getting fed by her, they return to the beach for a swim when Akira realizes that his girlfriend is quite good at swimming. She further reveals to him that she has been swimming since she was in diapers, but for him, she will gladly slow down. Once they resume, Akira decides to make it fun for him by staring at Mikoto's body from under the water. Mikoto suddenly stops and finds Akira trying to eat her taco with his eyes. When she asks him what he is up to, Akira fumbles and says that he was just admiring her peru. Mikoto then reveals that she usually doesn't wear it during swimming, but since she accidentally got an outline of her scissors imprinted on her, she decided to make it a fashion statement. On that note, she flaunts her curves to Akira, which ends up giving him a major nosebleed. As his beans turn into a beanstalk, Akira quickly turns away and tells Mikoto that he is swimming ahead. Later that day, as the couple boards the train to go home, Mikoto mentions how she had a lot of fun. When Akira struggles to reply to her, Mikoto decides to find out how he feels on her own. After putting his spit in her mouth, her nose starts to bleed. Akira smiles and reveals that he has gotten excited after seeing her tan line with the scissors. After hearing that, Mikoto shockingly asks him if he wants to see it again. When he shyly tells her that he does want to see her tan line again, Mikoto reveals that he can have her private show again next year. A few days later, Akira goes shopping. While he is browsing through some books, he is greeted by Oka, who claims that fate has brought them together. Since it's the last day of summer break, they decide to have ice cream together. Akira is reluctant, but Oka grabs his arm and states that it's not every day they run into each other. Arriving at a cafe, Oka gives him an ice cream and a stiffy at the same time. While she yaps about something, Akira cannot help but think about how juicy Oka's oranges are. He then tells her that if Yuino finds out he is eating ice cream with her alone, he might get angry. But this makes Oka laugh as she tells him that whenever she is alone with Yuino, he is always praising her, so he won't mind if he finds them hanging out. However, what catches Akira's attention is hearing Oka use Yuino's first name. So out of surprise, he asks her if they are already on first name basis. Oka then tells Akira that she has done splits on Yuino's joystick, so of course they are on first name basis. Upon hearing this, Akira imagines Mikoto calling him by his first name, which somehow fills him with sadness, knowing that she would never call him by his name. Suddenly, Oka whispers his name in his ear, which sends blood down his happy place. Flustered, he asks what she is doing, and Oka replies by tasting his ice cream and reveals that he was definitely thinking of his crush, addressing him by his name. The next day at school, as Akira and Yuino catch up, he catches Oka walk past by them and asks Yuino if his girlfriend said something to him yesterday. When Yuino says no and asks him something happened, Akira decides to keep his mouth shut, noticing his tan. Yuino changes the subject and asks him if he went to the beach. Akira reluctantly tells him that he went there with his sister, which prompts Yuino to call him a hopeless loser, which ticks him off. Meanwhile, Oka and Mikoto sit together for lunch when she informs him that she ran into Akira yesterday. Now intrigued, Mikoto looks at Oka, who reveals that they talked about first names, and she is sure that Akira wants her to call him by his government name. When she receives no reply from Mikoto, Oka takes matters and saliva into her own hands and finds out that Mikoto also wants Akira to call her by her name. After being relentlessly teased by Oka, Mikoto tells her that it's none of her business and turns to leave, leaving Oka thinking that she would 100% sacrifice Yuino for a crazy baddie like her. Later that day, as Akira and Mikoto walk back home, he asks her if she would like to take a break in the park. Mikoto agrees, and Akira announces that he is going to get them some drinks. By the time he returns, Akira finds his girl fast asleep on the bench, seeing her sleep peacefully at a random spot. Akira quickly realizes that Mikoto has definitely never encountered a diddler in her life. When he tries to wake her up, he realizes that Mikoto is completely out. Akira's attention then shifts to Mikoto's earlobes, and without thinking, he calls her by her name, which breaks her out of her sleeping spell. Smiling shyly, she asks him what's up, and he nervously hands her the juice, stating that he didn't want her drink getting warm. As they sit in silence, Akira can't help but think how Mikoto looked when he called her by her name. So he tries to say her name again, but ends up tweaking out when he catches her looking at him. That night, Akira recalls Mikoto's smile before going to bed and dreams of taking her picture, where he is able to capture her $1,000,000 smile. The following morning, Akira takes a camera out and later asks Mikoto if he can snap a photo of her. When she asks him why, he reasons with her that since they are dating, he should have a picture of his girl. Understanding this, Mikoto allows him to snap photos of her. As Akira gets ready, he asks Mikoto to flash her pearly whites, but she bluntly shuts him down, stating that it's pointless to fake a smile for a picture. Back at his home, Akira mulls over what happened with Mikoto and gets upset all over again. The next day, Akira waits for Mikoto at the usual spot. After a few minutes, he realizes she is late when he is greeted by his old crush, Hayaka. She asks him if he remembers her, and when he assures her that he does,